where the fun begins.
Hello, and welcome to the Council. We begin tonight's meeting of the Council by calling the Council to order. Hello to everyone, and thank you for joining us. The Council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars: The Old Republic. I am Elise, and with me are my fellow Council members, Magic Ace.
Hello, the Hollow fooled you. I'm here.
Redna.
Why, hello. How are you today?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing great. It's Monday, my favorite day, because I get to hang out with the council.
And Sakari.
Hey, everyone.
Today we're going to talk about attitudes towards people in SWTOR operations.
Yes, and we do actually have a title graphic for that there. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
And after that, you can find us and our live broadcast on our recorded episodes pretty much everywhere. We have our podcast on our YouTube channel. You can check out our social medias. You can follow us here on Twitch. And if you're listening to us, you're more than likely on a podcast. Welcome. We'd love to have you. You can also find us on thecouncilswtor.com, which is our website. We have Twitter, which is @thecouncilswtor. And don't forget, we have Patreon, which is patreon.com/councilswtor. We love you all. You're great.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, guys. As we get this episode started, I promise you, we have not been fighting before the show. We're chilling out, and everyone was kind of quiet. We're all doing our own separate thing, and then we get the show started, and hey, everyone. Cool. Of course, Magic joins us by Hollow, and that's an interesting new thing. I don't think we've done that before. I think whenever there's a Hollow, usually one of us is out, but it's actually, she's around us in the ether, in the Force. She's a Force ghost tonight. A Hollow. So, real quick, icebreaker is how we start the discussion. Just a little discussion to get us started. A little question, get it going. The topic tonight, as we have mentioned, is going to be SWTOR operations and our attitudes towards each other in that context. So, the icebreaker along those lines is, when it comes to running SWTOR operations, what puts you in a good mood and what puts you in a bad mood? And very broad. Hopefully I haven't been too specific, because usually I get penalized for my specificity. So, and by the way, if you're in chat, feel free to answer. We'd love to know what you think about this as well. What puts you in a good mood? What puts you in a bad mood when you're running operations in SWTOR? Magic, let's start with you.
Well, what puts me in a good mood, I would say, is either getting with a group who seems to be able to know what they're doing or make momentum, or if they make mistakes, easily correct it. Also, if they don't know what they're doing, they inform you beforehand and ask questions when you say, does anybody have questions? The things that put me in a bad mood are, I don't know, like people, namely marauders, just running in and pulling like everything, generally forgetting mechanics,
Okay.
or ignoring that they exist. Also, when someone is new and they don't know and they don't speak up, and then they're like, I didn't know, when they've wiped the whole group, rather than just say, hey, I have no clue, but I want to do this. So those are the things that put me in a bad mood. Also, just the general, how do I say this that's PG, jerks that are self-absorbed and think they know everything and can't be taught, and they still do the wrong stuff. Right. Otherwise, I love operations.
Yeah, so really,
maybe does too.
It's because you want the team to go through it smoothly. And anything that threatens that smoothness is part of the issue.
Yes, because if I'm going to be in a raid group, I know there's going to be headbutting a boss repeatedly until you get through it. But if I'm just doing a pug group or doing a group finder, I want there to be a amount of progress made quickly before we start encountering issues.
Right. Absolutely. I totally can understand. Redna, what about you, sir?
What puts me in a good mood would be Sakari.
Oh, thank you.
And what puts me in a bad mood would be Sakari.
I thought you were going to say Magic Ace. I was going to say someone's getting kicked. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, wait, hold on. So this is actually your answer to this?
Sure, I told you.
Because as before, everybody, I share the question a little early on Monday nights with the group, so that if it's a little more challenging, people will have a chance to at least think of how they would want to answer this. And then Ridden was like, oh, sure, it's Sakari and Sakari. So that was actually his answer. That's interesting.
Or you could, if I were being honest, and what puts me in a good mood would be Redna. And what puts me in a bad mood would be Red Nut, because nobody can put me in a bad mood unless I let them. So really, it's entirely up to me
This
how
is
I let
true.
others impact me.
Actually, that is quite a fascinating piece of this, and I'm sure we're going to get to unpack that. I want you to expound on that if you don't mind. Like really get into the weeds on that. Elise, what about you?
I don't like operation content that is too hard. It's just not my.
Okay.
It's not my speed. So if I can't do it with a glass of wine or two and people falling asleep while playing, it's not fun. So.
And by falling asleep, you mean it goes on too long, or something else?
Or you drink too many glasses of wine.
Right. Okay, so you drink yourself into a stupor because it is that mind-numbingly problematic to learn, or
no. Anybody who has done WOG will know exactly who I'm talking about.
I think we
so
do. Yes.
I'll just leave it there. So
Are you saying
that's a good raid.
Are you saying that's usual for someone?
Perhaps.
Someone drives you to drink during raiding.
No,
it's
required. It's required. I like raids that are like Married with Children, Friday Night Bowling League level groups and attitude, where drinking and
I think the attitude is the key point there.
Right.
You know, you say bowling league, and that to me is like the perfect metaphor for this. Like, because we all get together, we all have a good time. Hey, nobody cares. It's cool. Everyone has fun. Everyone leaves. Everyone's in a great mood. Everyone had, and that's it.
Sometimes
and it's
you
no
strike,
more.
Sometimes you gutter.
Totally.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But I don't like getting all gutters all night long. That's not fun for me.
True. Yeah, you need the odd strike.
So for me, I am not at all entertained by banging my head against a boss for hours and then going, good raid. That is not me. I know others find that entertaining.
You don't like chasing 7-Eleven splits all night long?
No.
You don't like getting your DPS at least over 8K?
I don't even know. So no.
8K? I almost got removed from a group for that.
Right. Well, hey,
it's got to be 9 or 10 nowadays, apparently.
That's my DPS. Sorry. Sorry, it's a little operations humor there for everybody. So, yes, indeed. Let me see. What would be mine? Elise, were you done with your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. I don't know if I thought about this. Like, so to me, there's kind of a balance. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm definitely not a Nim Raider. I think I can say that. But I enjoy the veteran mode stuff, the slightly harder, more challenging stuff. But I don't want to kill myself having to min-max my stuff and then have everybody picking on me because my stats aren't right, and then I almost get kicked out of a group for it because I'm not, like you were saying, Redna, like almost get kicked out because not doing, because 8K is on the low side, for instance. I don't like the stress. I'm going to say it that way. The stress of really having to juice everything you can out of your performance. So I'm a little closer to, I think a little closer to Elise on that, on your side of the spectrum, Elise, where I'm in it for the fun and the friends, whatever, but I do like a challenge. So I think veteran mode is like my style. That's my. Does that make sense at all? So yeah, sure. I mean, like I like challenge. Challenge puts me in a good mood. I like friends. Friends doing challenges together puts me in a good mood. But when people start getting kind of on each other's cases because you're not doing enough, as soon as friendship starts breaking down, I think that's where I enjoy. I think I can say that. So this is good. I like that we have the whole gamut of everybody here tonight. We've got every side of this represented from the people who want to play casually to the people who want to play hardcore. So I think this is going to be pretty good. Elise, shall we get started on the straw poll for this week? I actually think we had a pretty good one.
So the poll for this week says, which of the following best describes your general attitude towards other players in Star Wars The Old Republic operations? Salty, nearly everyone is incompetent. Selective, so few are good and I only run with the best. Impatient, SWTOR badly needs more competent raiders. Learn from my wisdom now. Patient, many need help. I am happy to teach. Easy, it's all good. Relax and have fun. Fearful, so difficult. I'm worried about underperforming and making people mad. Or indifferent. I don't really think that needs an
Right. Whatever. I still gave it one because I was committed at that point. So, apologies. It turns out that I'm having that graphics issue that we had from last time I did this, where for some reason, even though I update the poll graphics when I go live with the show, they revert to the previous week's graphics. That drives me crazy. So, let's talk about how we would answer it. If you are would love to be a part of this poll, feel free to pop your answer in the chat in the form of the letter that represents it. So, for instance, if you are selective and there's only a few people that you trust and want to raid with, then by all means hit B and let us know where you would class yourself in that list. It is in chat, so just like look at the options in chat. Give me a second, and I will get the graphics corrected here. So, Redna, how would you answer that, sir?
I don't know. I'm trying to decide. My general attitude. Okay, wait. So this is my attitude toward other players in SWTOR operations.
Yes.
Well, I guess being the contrarian, then salty is kind of like being contrarian, right?
Being salty is contrarian?
But I wouldn't. I know. I guess I haven't done hard mode content with you, but I've done enough GWOG stuff with you. I don't think salty is really you, but maybe that's how you see yourself.
That's because I've got that drink you were talking about in my hand for a while.
Nice. Absolutely.
I don't. Somewhere between patient and impatient. I mean, I don't think that SWTOR. I mean, well, no, it's not even I don't know. It's definitely not fearful. I mean, I would 100% support easy, as in it's all good, relax and have fun. I don't know that I feel that way about other players in an operation. And I could say that I'm selective, but I don't only run with the best. That's totally not true. But I do run. This is the difficulty is that for me personally, finding a group that has 8 people that can avoid standing and stupid and know what they're doing is really, really, really challenging. There's always 1 or 2 that, okay, they can, max their DPS while they die because they don't move their rooted feet, or they just can't abide by mechanics generally, or, they run around. They don't do any damage, but they don't get hit, which is kind of okay. I don't know. I don't know how I would answer this.
so they run around and don't get hit. Okay, hold on. So it's a healer. They don't do damage. I'm just trying to.
No, because the healer at least keeps people alive.
Right.
Well, I don't know
if they're running
you,
around and not, if they're running around like this as a healer, then they're totally not doing their job and they can go rot. But I don't know any healers that are that way.
I can always find time to drop some dots, man. Like if I'm on a merc, I can do at least 1 unload while I'm using my tech override thing or whatever, so I can lower my heat. As an operative, I throw a dart, and that's a dot. As a Sork, I always cast Affliction and Crushing Darkness. So I don't know what you mean, no DPS. Who are you healing with, Redna?
So which one are you picking?
I said I don't know any healers like that. I'm just expressing
Redna, which one are you picking? Which one are you picking?
Because I just don't care. I'm going with easy.
That's fine. Yeah. So I was fully aware that in this poll that there would be people that would be conflicted between these options, right? Because even thinking about it, I fit into more than one category. But if I was to pick one over the others, which would it be? Which I know is tough. Because, sometimes you got to get as close as you can. Something that hits it right on the head. So, Elise, how would you answer that?
I would be a combination of easy and fearful.
Easy and fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you probably don't have to unpack what the fearful is, right? Like, so
I mean, I know where fearful comes from because it's like if I had before I ever got into any operations or raid groups in previous games or whatever, what it boils down to is I want to come in and do well. I don't want to let anybody down.
Right.
I want to feel like I know what I'm doing and I can contribute as best as possible. And I am terrified to join into a group where all these people actually know what they're doing, or at least what the point is to this very large group content. And that's intimidating. And I don't, which is true about a lot of what I do in life, which is, like I don't want to make my first try until I can make it a real good try.
Right.
Fair enough.
Also, I don't like white knuckling my things, which is why I don't like hard stuff. I have to do some fairly serious stuff during the day as my day job. That's not how I want to. That's not my relaxation style to then do that some more when I'm supposed to be stepping away. So, yeah, easy and fearful. That's me.
See, that's totally personality type because, like, to escape my issues, I'm like, let's game, let's get content done. I'm ready to grind out some achievements. Let's go.
Yeah, it's
And
got to
like-
be personality
but
type.
There's a difference between playing games and doing something like that where you're upping a lot of challenge. That's not how I relax.
Right.
Over
That's what I'm saying. I think that's totally personality type because, like, I think I get it from my mother. She doesn't play video games often, but when she does, she's like ready to beat the entire Pac-Man game in one sitting. She's like, "Let's go! It's Mrs. Pac-Man for the win!" And she like gets upset if she fails, and she gets excited if she wins. I think it's totally personality. I get it from my mom.
Well, this is fascinating to me because like everybody's trying to do some kind of escapism here, right? Like that's why we game. It's because hey, it's different, it's something. Or else we would just do more real life, for instance, if that's what you want to do. Elise is saying, I have had enough horror during my workday. I want out, give me an escape. And Magic is like, I have enough horror during my workday. I want to kill something. So it's like, I guess whatever works the aggression out. I don't know. Magic,
I like to do operations because they're challenging, and I don't get challenged in real life. Yes, I'm that arrogant.
Interesting.
Oh, I get plenty of challenges in real life, but it's social challenges. It's not skill challenges because, like, geez, like sometimes just parenting my children, it's all social. It's all teaching them how to be a better human being and dealing with that. And then, of course, I have to deal with beings outside that are not under my control, and that's where the issues come in. So when I get into an operation, I can literally control whether people live or die. And so don't tick off your healer because I could be in a mood and you won't even know until you die. That's all I'm saying.
That's where your AoE heals are a problem for you. You can't control who they.
Well, right, Romy Man. I'm like, fine, I'm not healing you. 5 seconds later, I'm like, dang it, I healed you.
Yep, that's right.
No, I'm probably ruining my reputation right now. Everyone who hears this be like, I'll never group with her. I have to change
I've
my names now.
actually let somebody die over and over and over again when I was the healer because they pissed me off. I do not forget to exclude them. And it is really easy for me to say, burn in hell. Blame me, will you? You'll die for real now.
Oh man, no, that trying not to heal though, like for real, in operations can be really difficult because there's literally a boss that she sucks the life out of somebody if you heal them. So that roaming min can get you in trouble.
So Magic, what about you? How would you rate yourself on this?
Okay, so I voted indifferent, and the reason why is because I am a moody person by nature, and that is something I get from my father. Yeah, check that out. So I try really hard to be patient, and I try to teach people because teaching people enhances the chance of someone wanting to keep playing the game. Therefore, they keep paying for it, and SWTOR will keep putting out content. I'll still be able to play the game I like. Also because I just generally don't like to be an a-hole. But mostly I'm indifferent because it's like if they're just really bad and they're not going to get it, I'm just going to say, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't have time to do this. I'm going to have to go ahead and drop it. Really good luck to you. And that's only if like they're not listening to any of the pointers I'm trying to give. But mostly it's just, I just really don't care. Like if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. I used to get so hung up on this stuff, and I used to get so upset if things didn't work out or groups didn't work out. And after so many groups failing, because keeping 8 people together to get through difficult content during stress and anxiety or failure or even success sometimes is nearly impossible, especially when they all have different life things going on. So now it's like if a group is successful, I enjoy the success while I'm there. And if they're not, then I don't, and I just move on. So now I just try to be indifferent so that I don't get hung up, because at the end of the day, It's a video game, and no matter how many amazing things may happen or people I meet in the game, it still is a video game. So I try to be indifferent, even though I also try to be helpful, but mostly I'm just indifferent.
So indifferent is something that you are aspiring to be. It sounds to me almost like a coping mechanism.
It kind of is, because I literally was so emotionally invested, like the first 2 years I was healing in this game, that I would take it very personally if someone didn't think my healing was good enough. And I'm like, you have no idea how hard I'm trying. But then again, I was also held back by my technology and also experience.
Okay.
And if your technology can't get you in and you don't have experience, people don't want you there. It's kind of painful. It's not good. But now people ask me to come heal for them in nightmare raids on timed runs. So progress.
Yes, indeed. Well, once you've grown to that, I think because you have to grow to that. You have to get better as a player. You have to get more geared. You have to have more understanding. You have to be relentlessly like introspective about how, so there's a lot of growth, I think, in a lot of different ways to get up to that. I do have a lot of respect for the people that managed to pull it off. Let me see. What would be mine? I think for the most part, I tend to be patient. Because like I said, this kind of goes hand in hand with my desire to do more difficult content, but not to take it as far as I can. I'm happy to learn. I'm happy to have people to teach people. I'm happy to work with people, get things figured out. I enjoy the challenge, but I don't want it to become an attitude problem for me as well. So I think if I can keep things on that patient level, if I start to get impatient, it's time for me to step out. I think I don't want to, at least I'm like you. I don't want this to be a source of stress to me. I don't want this to be a source of any kind of problems, or I don't want to leave feeling worse than when I stepped in at the. So yes, I think if I can aim for that patient, that's where you're building the team and you're tackling the challenge, but you're not, everything is still healthy. That's at least what does it sound fair to everybody? Am I doing right?
See, in my mind, realistically, salty is accurate, so you might as well live easy.
So salty is accurate, which means everybody is incompetent. So just relax.
That's right. If nearly everyone is incompetent, then you might as well just realize that it's all good, relax, and have fun.
So this is like an existential crisis that eventually you get to where you have to just kind of break the.
And for me, the problem between impatient and patient is the exact same, which is that nobody listens to me anyway. So I'm not happy to teach because you're going to ignore me, and that's just going to get me angry. And you're not going to learn from my wisdom, which is just going to make me angry. So I'm not going to be impatient either.
So the thing is, I knew Redna would get very, very analytical on the question. So.
Yeah.
All right. So anyone else from chat? Put your corresponding letter in. Do it now, because we are about to send the results to chat.
We have one person who said they want to vote. Hold on, give them a second.
Sure.
You've got literally 4 seconds. Go.
4 seconds. Now,
which is about the time that you have before you hear her say that.
she's very impatient. Now she's very fearful. Okay, we're good to go?
Well, I don't see them voting yet, so I'm waiting for it. And I don't see it yet, so I wonder if they were just doing it to mess with me. So I say go ahead.
Go ahead. All right, here are the results from chat. It looks like salty. We had 0 people in chat with saltiness. Of those who are selective, 0. Of those who are impatient, 0. Patient, we had 3. Easy, we had 2. And fearful, we had 1. An indifferent 1 as well. Somebody doesn't care.
Yeah,
somebody...
I was the indifferent. It was.
Oh, you were the indifferent. Okay, so that makes sense. So we're good there. Okay, thank you, everybody.
That said, I would say anybody that participated in this poll online or in the chat room that responded with fearful, you should 100% show up for a WOG when we get those
Right.
back up and running, because you will learn right away that it's actually fun to do operations and you got nothing to fear with that group.
It's true. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. So we have gone through ours. We've gone through what chat said. Elise, would you like to go through the community results?
So the results of the poll, we had 436 votes. 136 votes, or 31%, fearful. 104, or 24% of the total, was easy. 63, or 14%, were patient, or feel patient. And it also tied with Indifferent, at also 14%, or 63. Selective was 35 votes, or 8%. Impatient was 21 votes, or 5% of the total. And Salty was 14 votes, or 3%.
I'm surprised it wasn't higher for Salty.
You know what? Honestly, I was too. I can say that as well.
Because I just hear so many salty people, and then I see it in Gen Chat all the time. I'm like, man, the salt is like super highly concentrated this week, or like, you know, every night pretty much.
So
that's because it's the salty people that like to shout it to the heavens. People that are happy aren't busy talking about it.
Right. Yeah. So here's where we sent this poll out to Facebook. We put it out on Twitter, and we put it out on Reddit. And I imagine still the vast majority of respondents were Reddit, because there's a community on Twitter, and there's a few people follow us on Facebook. But I think, I mean, to get to 436 respondents, I think it was mostly Reddit that result. What's fascinating to me is that many.
Can I make a comment, please, about the Reddit community? They don't tend to get involved with too many, at least here of late, of our polls. If you look at the number of people who look at the poll and how many people who vote. However, this was probably one of our higher ones in quite some while.
Yeah.
There is a very large number of people who truly believe that everybody in the game is doing operations on Reddit. So I think the population on Reddit are very skewed towards people who do endgame endgame content. I kind of feel like that probably helps this.
Sure, absolutely.
That's interesting. I didn't realize there was anybody so foolish as to believe that there was even more than 10% of people doing operations.
I have gotten into arguments, like throwdown arguments, where people demanded that I prove like that it's a minority of people who raid, that they just absolutely, and they would give me every excuse. This is a story-oriented game. The operations are more story content. More people would do it here than anywhere else. Like everybody who does this, that's the whole point of playing the game, is to do end game. I've heard it all. So
nobody in the world plays the game differently than I do.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly it. So again, that wasn't a judgment statement. It's just.
Well, no.
You know, I have to admit, I was really glad that I was raised to understand that I'm an oddball that is not like most other people. So I generally assume whatever I think is normal is definitely the minority.
And I mean, honestly, when you look at other games, the proportions in this game pretty much are equivalent to other games. I mean, even WoW, it's about 10%. The game director has come out and said that. Mm-hmm. So it's about 10% of the population. It's just more people because the game population itself is bigger. But the population stays the same. It's about the same in ESO. It's about the same in Destiny. Right, proportionally. It's about between 5.
And that totally makes sense too, because the vast majority of people that participate in operations, they go to different MMOs for operations. In those games, they call them raids. You know, ours is the only one that calls it an operation, but still, I totally get that. I mean, there is a personality type, and that is, and frankly, it's actually, while I do think that group is not insignificant, right? I mean, 10% is still a significant enough, but they will change games to seek out more content of that type, right? They don't particularly care about, you know, okay, I as long as I can be a healer and be a healer, I can go to whatever game and heal in group content and get my fix, you know, and if Star Wars: The Old Republic goes 2 years without putting out an operation, that's fine. I got other games I can play until the next one comes out. Sub up for a few months, play the new content, go to the next game.
Exactly.
Right.
So which makes it a really interesting group, right? They're definitively passionate. They do love the content. They're going to share that with everybody that they know that loves the content. They think they're in a bubble that everybody plays the way they do because everyone they know does, which is fine. because they'll bring everybody they know to come play this content when it's available.
Maybe everybody they do know is there to do that. If you think about it, so to their perception, everybody does raiding, right? Because everybody they know does raiding, but it just happens to be they're cloistered in a sub community that doesn't do anything else.
Right.
That's
And
interesting.
human beings tend to do that. We tend to gravitate to people who share our interests. So if your
Or
interest is
even more importantly, within a
raid,
game
is it
environment
don't
like
raid?
this, is that like you're going to go to a guild that's doing raids, and because that's the focus of the guild, then virtually everybody in the guild is doing raids, because you're probably not being invited to the guild unless you're doing raids.
Right.
And then it turns out, well, everybody in my guild does raids, so doesn't everybody in the game do raids? Well, no, I'm in a guild right now that there's maybe four or five people that appear to do raids with any consistency. You know,
Right.
but they're still playing all the time. You know, there's plenty of content outside of operations. There are even guilds that are dedicated to GSF, and they think there's a lot more people playing GSF than there really is.
Right. No kidding. Yeah. So yes, I think it's good to understand the factors that are out there that affect the poll results. It just happens that this poll question was asked about a passion question to a group in the community that is specifically impassioned about the poll subject. So that's why we got a higher results hit, which is actually good though, because that means that we asked the right people. I think that's a good place to ask the poll. What is fascinating to me, probably the most fascinating aspect of this poll, was the sheer number of people that are fearful.
I don't know why.
1 in 3 in this community that is passionate about operations are fearful that their how they perform in rating is subpar, and they're worried that they're going to make other people mad. That is mind-blowing to me. Like, I expected it was actually going to work its way. If you ask Reddit, I was expecting the poll to be upside down. That the salty was going to be high, the impatient was going to be high, but actually it's the fearful that was high, and that blew my mind about this.
Well, and the great part is, like, 1 in 3, right, is worried that they're going to be making people mad, and yet 1 in 6 are even likely to get mad.
Yes.
Right?
Well, it shouldn't really
all
surprise
3
us.
categories that would have that attitude. The everyone's incompetent, or learn from my wisdom because I'm God, or I only run with the best. You know, those are the people you might get upset, except that all told, that adds up to 16%.
Right.
But when you think about
Absolutely.
the number of people who are doing it, if you look at that, that makes sense, right? I mean, we're still talking about a small percentage of the population overall. So there has to be, you have to ask then why, if it's something that, you know, a lot of time, money, and effort is being put forth by the developers, why are so few people taking part in it? And I'm sure that is a factor. People are nervous about doing that content, and you know,
I don't really think it should be surprising. I don't think it should be surprising for 2 reasons. One, because whenever you start rating, immediately people start telling stories about elitists.
Right.
And so rather than encouraging people about, like, hey, you know, you never have to get to the end game if you don't want to, but if you want to, there's higher levels. Instead of encouraging people like that, they're like, watch out for people like this, or this guild is an elitist guild, or this guild does this. And it's talking about all the negativity. Well, when you get people that just joined sorry, magic babies wanting to talk to you. When you get people that are excited and just joined the game, or they're just wanting to start raiding, or they've never raided before but they're ready to get into it, and you immediately start regaling them with tales of all the horrible things that have happened to you in raids, how do you expect them to get excited or to want to keep doing said content? I think we inadvertently shoot ourselves in the foot when we scare the crap out of the people who are coming in to raid with us. My second reason, we shouldn't be surprised that people are fearful, because when you get into a flashpoint, what's the first thing everybody says? Spacebar. Nobody can watch any of the scenes because they're saying, spacebar. They're telling you spacebar. You can't watch one single scene because it's nonstop spacebar, spacebar, spacebar. You can't watch anything, whether you're new or not. And if you just say, I want to watch it, you get people that sometimes leave the group because they don't want to wait. So why is it a surprise that people are fearful to get into an operation when you can't even do a flashpoint without feeling absolutely rushed?
Or when you see people on the forums who've had the courage to go to that step and ask on the forums, I want to do ops for the first time. I've been playing for blah, blah, blah. You occasionally see a founder who suddenly wants to try. And they get, well, you have to do this and make sure you do this, and you better have this, this, and this.
Yes.
And you should be doing.
Watch the guide videos.
You know what?
You should have done the guide videos, and make sure you can do veteran mode flashpoints, or else you're going to fail and wipe the group, and people are going to be like, all you hear.
And if you want to
is
do
the
hard
fact-
modes, then you have to have your gear min maxed. So you have to make sure that you have every single piece be 248, even though it's designed for 236. I don't care. You need to be in full 248, properly distributed stats. Otherwise, you're not welcome in my group.
Leeching will have to carry you, and that's not fair to the group. I see that a lot.
You're going to have to
too.
give me a couple million
really
credits
leeching.
just so that I can carry you for your achievement. I know that's all you want.
Yeah. So honestly, to me, we should not be surprised that fearful is the outcome, because seriously, like sometimes.
Also draw an obvious parallel, which would be why do people not want to do PvP for basically the same reason? There are these salty people that
absolutely
drive them away rather than.
I go.
I don't do
on
rank
Starforge.
PvP because I am
do rank
scared of the
PvP on
players.
Starforge, because Starforge is a lot more chill. If you want a PvP, you do not want to do it in Selective Sean, because literally you will be berated the entire time, whether you have good stats or bad stats, whether you win or whether you lose, your own team and the other team. It's nonstop. I go to Starforge and maybe I get
That's
one out
always
of every 10 matches where there's
I've
someone a
changed
little
servers
hate.
so many times, and that's the attitude of the PvPers has never changed, and the elitism of the operations groups has never changed.
Maybe it's because the PvP community on that server, like whenever I log on to my character, I immediately get 5 or 6 whispers like, hey, are you PvPing? So I don't know, maybe it's because I have good rapport with the community there. But if I PvP on Selective Sean, I immediately regret it and I log back over to Starforge. Like I automatically hate it because I get all kinds of crap for it, which that's kind of a tangent. But the point is, it's like when you have this attitude, it really shouldn't be a shock when like a majority of people bombard you with the hate. And then when you're like, well, do I really want to do this? And you think about it and all the stuff that they tell you, and you're like, maybe I'll go pretend this is KOTOR 3 and play some story.
If there's any part of you that has Elise's philosophy where you're like, I'm just here for the fun and the friends, why would you do it?
Especially paying $15 a month to do it.
Yeah, you're paying for this. Why would you pay to be verbally abused when you could just go hang out on Fleet and Troll or something? That's way more fun. You know, maybe that's why there's so many people doing that. I don't know. We drive them out of the content.
I like the chat room's take on it. It's because Magic is freaking radioactive, is why people respond to her that way.
She is glowing tonight. I haven't noticed.
I thought you were being like hateful to me. I'm like, what? You were in my raid group. Why didn't you quit then?
No. For the PvP.
Gotcha. No, okay. I do get a little into it.
I will
after,
always
like,
ask
the
you to
5th or
heal
6th
for me.
win.
No healer hate. In fact, quite frankly, I never hate on my healers because they are responsible for keeping me alive. And I know that I have let people die, and I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not going to bring that upon myself.
Throwing some palm leaves down before the healers walk. All hail healers.
Yeah,
okay,
but it's fascinating.
And to that end, actually, the easy answer, Sakari, is to why would I do it? It's because, like traditionally for both operations and PvP content, the only reason I did it was because I had friends that I knew that I went and did it with. Now, for operations content, generally I know at least that I'm smart enough to do mechanics and not stand in stupid, and willing to improve in order to fill whatever role I need to do. Right. So I've got the self-confidence to pull it off. But otherwise, even still, I won't go in with at least 1 or 2 people that I know in the group.
Right. This is almost like a kind of a question I'd like to start bouncing off of Dr. SWTOR, right? Because we're talking about people and their attitudes, relationships, how they treat each other. One thing I do know from psychology and counseling type of circles is that people tend to invest more when they feel that things are quote unquote safe space. So, for instance, if I'm on a team and this team is my friends and I know these people and I trust these people, I'm more likely to say, hey guys, would someone mind running through the mechanics real quick? I don't know this. We're probably going to wipe our time or 2 because I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'll get it. I just need you guys to guide me through that. That takes a basis of trust for me to be able to do. It's harder to do in pugs because I don't know everybody. And at some level, when you get to like a nightmare rating, there's an expectation that you're here because you know what you're doing. So there is a small place in the middle where there's a good opportunity to ask and to expect that people are going to be easy, or like in the easy state or in the patient state, and that's really where you want to get in there and learn.
Well, and also pug groups, since I've been booted a time or two, which is why I haven't done a pug raid in 2.5 years.
It's better than me. I've literally never done one.
Really? That's a pickup group to anyone
ones.
who's wondering what pug means.
There's been some good ones and some bad ones. But in the age of when they created the ability to kick people, you basically need to go in with someone that you know. And that was a strategy that was told to me when I first started.
Right, because then they won't seal the vote that kicks you out.
They won't vote you off the island.
Well, now you can get
no.
voted
There's a
out with
different
2
attitude.
votes.
You need to go into a looking for group, like for flashpoints with at least one other friend, so that you can kick the other guy. It's not to avoid being kicked; it's to kick.
Yeah, it's like alliances. You have to go in there with an alliance.
This
to
is
keep
like
everyone else off the island.
This is like half full, half empty argument. I think it's the same, but now they've got it to where all you need is 2 votes to be kicked, because I was on a level 16 Marauder, or no, Sentinel. I was on a level 16 Sentinel, and I got into a hammer station. The Sork pulled, and I went forward because I thought, okay, we're not LOSing, because he just kept, like, he was half dead. So I was like, okay, we're not LOSing. I jumped forward, and I started fighting, and they voted to kick me, and with 2 votes, one of them declined, and with 2 votes, I got kicked. And someone whispered to me and said, it's because you wouldn't LOS. I'm like, wouldn't LOS? It was 1 pull, and the Sork was almost dead. What do you mean wouldn't LOS? So for me, I'm like, I think people just assume that if you're low level, then you're new. They ignore the legendary symbol next to your name.
Or what happens is that if you are like a nightmare person, you know that when you do story modes, LOS is such a waste of time. Go in there and blast it and move on. And then, because I find myself doing that. Like, I'm like, guys, why are we LOS, setting up an LOS? Everyone's waiting around. Let's just go in and kill it all, because we are all in like 242 gear or higher. Let's just go do this. But they want to LOS, so like you wait, and if you go out there and go blasting, then you're the one who play ball.
And for those that aren't sure what LOS is, that's line of sight. And
yes.
You stand around like a corner that actually puts a physical object between you and the things you're trying to kill, so that when they come around that corner, they're all bunched up in the same location. That way everybody can drop big AoE, which is area of effect abilities, that can hit everything simultaneously and slaughter them.
We should do a 101 episode on like all of the terminology that's out there. It'd be great.
And the very first major ad pool in Hammer Station, if you're low level, is literally slaughter. Like, you're asking to be killed. And we had people that could CC the gold droids, but they wouldn't do it. CC as in like crowd control. They wouldn't CC the 2 gold droids. And since that Sork was, dying, I was just like, hey, let's just go, because this guy's gonna die if we don't. But that sealed it for me. 1 person declined, and 2 people voted to kick me, and I was gone. It's not fun. I was like, wow, that hasn't happened to me literally in years. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I ignored all 3 of them. It made me feel better.
I hate that function. But anyway, that's another show.
Yes, I think there's 2 or 3 shows I probably need to do.
The worst part about that last time that I got kicked, just at the time it was in my guild that I was on in Starforge before I came over here, actually.
Your guild kicked you?
No.
I was going to say, wow.
It was our operation. We invited like half the other team from this other guild. That team kicked all of us.
Wow.
So it was our operation. We were doing Ravagers for the first time, and it was the Wookiee fight. I can't remember who the name of the thing with the stuff at the bottom. It was my first time I had ever done that raid. I have to fail a few times before I really get it.
Oh my goodness, Elise!
They did not want to wait.
Like, so, how like, because okay, so if 4 of you are from one guild,
and it was ours. We did the recruiting for the
Torque was the name. Thank you, chat.
Yeah. And that was the last time I ever did.
Oh my! No wonder you're burnt at this, because that was like the worst. thing ever.
Yeah. So there you go. And I'm sure my story is not unique. So
Dude, like I can imagine you and your guild put together, like, hey, well, let's do a raid. So that you can cobble together 4 of you. Hey, we need someone else. Hey, let's reach out to another guild who happens to be like friends or something, because we have a decent working relationship with this other guild. Hey, guys, come join this. So there should be this basic understanding that we're going to have a friendly kind of like guild war games kind of a thing. This is going to be fun, all of us together. It'll be bonding. And no, they boot. They don't even start the thing. They boot like, oh my goodness. Talk about getting a reputation.
Yep. It was really just.
I'm so shocked. I'm just like, no wonder. Oh my goodness. See, Magic, this is appalling.
It is. Like, this is why I try to be indifferent. Like, I wanted to be upset about getting kicked, but then I was like, there are people in the game who are not indifferent, and I need to accept that and just move on, queue for another group. No big deal. I queued for the next group, got Hammer Station again, not because I queued it, just because everybody else was. And we went right through it, no problem. There was LOSing, there was CC. It was a beautiful time. I leveled up 7 levels. You know, great times, great times. So, indifference, that's me. Anyways, next.
So now, okay, so the only time I will ever vote to kick someone else is when they are deliberately riding coattails. Like, for instance, everyone else is doing the work and they're hiding somewhere. I will vote to kick that person. I will vote to kick the person that is deliberately screwing the team. Like, if they are, you know, like, hey, the tank is, everybody understands the tank is the one that pulls, right? That's how it works here. And if they're like a DPS that's like, hey, I'm just gonna
would have booted me so many times. I sniper pull all day long.
So okay, let me add a layer to this. When you're friends and you trust the skills of your tank and you do sniper pull, there's kind of a vote of confidence that you have in your tank because you know he's going to get in there and pick it up from you. If you're friends, I think you feel safe enough in their ability to be able to pull.
You only say that because you usually tank for me, and you know that I actually trust you as a tank.
Well,
most often when I sniper pull is because I'm tired of waiting for the third explanation for the same boss after 30 minutes, and let's just pull the damn thing. And if you can't learn from the pull, then, you know,
That's
at least
hilarious.
you can explain what you got wrong.
At least then everybody's got kind of like a working idea as to what this looks like. Oh my goodness.
Kidding. I mean, like, if you can't, basically, I think if you're explaining for longer than 5 minutes on a poll, you've already lost half of the people in the group. Like, they've tuned you out.
That's what I don't like about the Brontes fight.
That is a true statement. That's factual.
The Brontes fight is like that. There's so many mechanics. And I mean, it really is a dance, and there's so much to it.
You should totally set it down, right? Because there's so many, some boss fights are at that way, right? And they've got tons of mechanics. And what you need to do, if you're a good, responsible leader, what you do is you start explaining it, right? And you say, hey, guys, we need to break it down. I'm going to tell you this, and this. All right, now we're going to pull it. There are going to be other things that happen, but just try and pay attention to those things. Next time I'll explain a little bit more, but at least you'll see what I just described to you.
Yes.
And then we can address a few more things.
And it's okay to die.
Right.
It's okay to wipe as a
expect
teaching.
to wipe.
Yes.
If not, I'll start shouting stuff out along the way, but...
I was gonna say, don't say it's okay, just say if you do, it's not a big deal. Because you don't want people to go intentionally say, well, I didn't feel like moving on stupid. Right. You said it was okay. So no. Like, if you do die, we can accept it. We can, you know, if we wipe, it's fine. We'll deal with it. But don't say, like, it's okay because I want to die. Yeah. It's not okay. Don't make yourself die if you don't have to die, okay? Just
right. I mean, there's another thing is, like, what you can say is, hey, okay, guys, like, let's take Brontes, for instance. There are times, quote unquote, through this fight that you will see the following kind of situation. Think about the hands and the fingers, right? When that happens, here's kind of how it'll happen a couple times throughout this fight. Do it like that because you've explained 2 phases right there. You know, hey, there's a phase where there's a clock thing. This is what you do when you see that. That way, and then, I do agree with, like, giving it to people in chunks and even, like, dipping your toe in the water and then dying, so at least people now have a working visual understanding to pair with your explanations. So we've got a guildie that he's been talking lately about when you explain raid fights, make everything, I think he meant to say succinct, but he calls it sashient, and that's become a big joke. Oh, guild, Everyone's like, haha, succinct, ha ha ha. Everyone's joking about it. But yeah, succinct is
succinct. It's not succinct. It's succinct.
Succinct. Well,
Yeah,
if
there
there's
you go.
2 C's in a row, I'm going to say succinct. But,
This
well,
is
because
being
I'm South
rude.
African, and that's how I grew up saying
and
it.
that is for those that suck. So that's
Words with the council. Now back to
Yes.
our regularly scheduled programming.
Well, we've been defining terms. Let's get the pronunciation right too. I'm sorry.
well,
no.
So, yeah.
So why do operations exist? Did we cover that? Because I had to go AFK for a little bit. Did we mention why operations exist?
No.
That's
okay.
Totally
I would like to
theory.
go into that.
That's theory on my part. Why SWTOR does operations? So what I would argue is that SWTOR that BioWare puts operations in SWTOR really for 3 reasons. One is to build community because hey, we get to these groups together and we get to go do stuff. We make friends that way. So that's one reason. Another reason, challenging content. But I think there's something challenging about it being a community and then taking on the content together. For instance, I know that if I'm a competent player, I can go in and engage challenging content, learn how to take on that challenging content, and so long as I'm only depending on myself, I can take care of it. I can take care of business and win. But if I'm having to work with other people, there's elements in that equation that I can't control, that namely their performance. And I think that's what really draws people in is like it's the challenge of getting everybody together. So there's not only team building, but there's also the challenge of the fight. But then there's also the challenge of getting everybody kind of pulling the team building to match the fight, if that makes any sense. Magic, what are your thoughts on this? Because this sounds like something that you've thought a lot about.
Okay, so I am new to MMOs, as I've mentioned multiple times. I have very limited experience. SWTOR is my bread and butter. But in my opinion, I feel like since you already had MMOs, no matter what your definition is, there's a community definition of an MMO, and SWTOR fits into it.
There's also a word definition.
Whoa.
Massively multiplayer online.
Anyways, so
yes, but there's
because of
categories within that too, Redna.
Yes.
So it's not
So
that.
Of course.
we have,
and ours would be an MMORPG, role-playing game.
So we have these people who were in games where they did like the hardest content of these other games, and if they find out there's a new one that's going to maybe give them a bigger excitement because whatever they're currently playing doesn't have that. I think SWTOR caters to that. It's an MMO. How can you play content together with other people if you're only limited to 4-player groups of flashpoints or like an occasional world boss here and there?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like operations caters to a wider variety of people, and some people don't want to do story content at all. It gives them something to do. Some people aren't here because it's Star Wars. They're here because there's operations. There's things for them to do. And when the operations stop, then they stop playing too and go back to what other games they're playing. So personally, in my opinion, I think it exists because there was a market for it. There was an opening for it. There were people that wanted these things, and there were people that were willing to pay for them. And that's the biggest thing. When BioWare's like, let's make a huge Star Wars game, we want to make an MMO, of course they're going to bring out operations because that's a gigantic chunk of player base that they would be missing if they didn't, because otherwise it's just a personal game that you can occasionally group of people, like Warframe. Like you can get a group of 3 or 4 people together in Warframe and go do missions. So I personally think it's there because
raids too.
It's for community. It's to
and
challenge.
They have a world boss now.
I like my business.
So it goes from game to game. I get that, right? Because we're joking around in the show notes behind the scenes here, and I think was it you, Elise, that put in there, haha, because WoW did it. That's why we feel like we need it. They did it in WoW, and it's true.
Most MMOs do. I would actually argue that it is a natural extension
theme
of
park and not sandbox. So you got they don't always do it that way if it's a sandbox design. Theme park does it.
True, and sandbox is a much more recent invention. The vast majority of previous, even Ultima Online and in different groups, I would argue that it's actually a natural extension. There's 2 natural extensions that come from the very foundation of what an MMO is traditionally, which is literally a massive amount of people playing together in a common world online, right? So you're concurrently in the same space working together. And there are 2 natural extensions that come from that. open world PvP because you're all there together and
So
you can
fight
run
each
into
other.
each other and actually
Right.
interact with each other. Like open world PvP is the easiest way to actually interact with one another. And then, or world bosses could be an extension similar to a raid group, which at least brings you guys into a sharded server environment where it can be more easily controlled, and then you go up through a sequence of bosses and trash pulls that culminate in solid rewards.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is a natural design extension of the MMO environment. Is that realistically we're not just single player game, so what can an MMO do that other games can't do? And that is bring a large group of people together to work towards a common goal. And then they also then started doing PvP environments that were sharded similar to raid groups and operations groups and whatever. But to me, like all of the end game group content is quite frankly a natural extension of what the design function of the game itself is actually it can do uniquely that others can't do.
Right.
You can do a MOBA which is a massive online battle arena, right? Because it only has one thing to offer. It doesn't give you story. It doesn't give you open world environments.
Well,
it doesn't give you all of these other environments. So basically all you've got
it doesn't give you
PvP
playable
arena.
story. It
Yeah.
doesn't give you
Right.
playable story, but you still can
Right.
have a story.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
and they usually
Watch has made a
that
point
out with
of
blog
doing that.
posts and stuff too.
So.
Right. I get told
but-
all the time that I need to read the lore, watch the videos on Overwatch. I don't, but I get told all the time it's really good and I should, and all I'm there for is just to kill other people or
They've
heal
got-
other people.
Right.
That's the
They've
only reason I
got-
would play any of those games either. Screw the story. It's just,
Right?
that's
Like,
all,
I've been
it's
so
100%
But it
Sorry.
actually is a good. That's the whole thing. That's why Overwatch, I think, has been so popular over
Mm-hmm.
the other ones. I mean, it's basically a ripoff of what is it? Team, the Valve one. Thank you, Team Fortress. It basically is that, just with a higher production value in many ways. But
And
the
more
story,
responsive
and they have a
Right.
writer, they have a lead writer, they do all that stuff. They
There's a
actually
lot of
make
things
comments in
about it.
there. Yes, I mean it's actually something that causes people to play that game. But anyway, I
I mean,
digress.
I found out that I seen a spray that said that Anna was Farah was Anna's daughter, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
wait a second, the tattoos, they match. It makes sense. That
Yes.
actually was pretty cool to me. So okay, I'm a little interested in the lore, but only like when I find it out
That's
by
how they
listening,
get you.
like when you're waiting for the doors to
That
open
is
to
how
go
they
toward.
getcha.
It's true though. Like when you wait for the doors to pop open to go out to your objective, you can hear your character conversate with someone else, and it gets you hooked because you're like, well, what does that mean? And you go look this stuff up, and before you know it, you're like totally invested. And I don't want to do that. I keep telling myself, no, I'm already too invested.
They will get you. There's a book. Just saying.
Yep. Oh, why'd you tell me that, Elise? I just said I don't want to be invested.
And once again, this also brings us back to World of Warcraft, which had no real legitimate story of its own to speak to, so you had to read the book or read the blog posts or
Play the
whatever.
previous
Eventually,
game.
they started learning how to bring it into the game, but that was like 6 to 10 years after the launch of the game.
Right. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Outside of World of Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, which actually did have substantial campaign modes and storytelling elements that were awesome that they drew from.
Warcraft 3. Yeah, that's the only Warcraft I'll do.
I loved Warcraft 3 and their expansions. Freaking fantastic.
All right, guys, that is probably it for our discussion tonight. Stay tuned to the council because we have some cool things coming. That's the only teaser I'm going to put out there. We've been working behind the scenes on something pretty awesome. Stay tuned, and we'll make sure that it gets out there. But just stick with us. That's all I'm going to do in the teasers. As far as announcements go, we want to say thank you to Elion D, our latest patron, who has joined our patrons. So thank you, Elion. You are awesome.
We need to
love
get a
having you.
soundbite. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. And since we're on Twitch, we can actually do that live, which is pretty cool. So, another thing I want to make sure is on everybody's radars. The live stream is coming. So there was a New York cantina, right, that they had planned to do. They decided not to do it because EA is doing some security things, putting some protocols in place, so they had to cancel it. In place of it, they are going to do a live stream Thursday, October the 11th. So that's this coming Thursday. Does anybody know what the time for this thing is? Usually it's about 4 p.m. Central Time. So I'm gonna say stay tuned to BioWare's social media, especially the website. It's probably all on there. There's going to be a live stream. It's usually
Thursday afternoon.
Yes,
That's good
Thursday
enough.
afternoon. That works. Usually they aim for about a half hour. This one, it looks like it's going to be closer to about an hour, maybe even longer. And they're going to go pretty in depth with 5.10 stuff. So definitely tune into that and all of the accompanying releases. That's all that I have on the radar tonight as far as news and announcement.
Well, I mean, I could also announce that I know things that you don't know. Okay, so I just want to say that. I like knowing things that other people don't know about things behind the scenes. Okay, there's things in the SWTOR community. Anyways, should I go into my normal speech now?
Absolutely.
Only if you're thankful.
Okay, well, in that case, goodbye. And no, I'm just kidding. We
And
just
that
want to
brings us.
salty. No, actually, I just want to say thank you to everyone who happened to participate tonight. Even the lurkers. We love you, lurkers. Whether you talk to us or not, you're still awesome. We love when people are watching. We love when you participate. Thank you to everyone who participated in the polls. There was a larger number than we anticipated. We love it. We also want to say thanks to our Reddit haters. You guys are wonderful. And, you're loved. Also, thank you to everyone who downloads our podcast and to our Patreons. We love producing the extra content for you, and we love that you enjoy this as much as we do. So, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor. You can find Elise on Twitter at abrown35, Magic Ace at the Magic Ace, me at R3DN4, and Sakari at I am Sakari. Not me, him. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor, where patrons can catch the articles we're talking about behind the scenes and exclusive backstage access to our after show chat. That's it for this week, guys. You are only as strong as the warrior standing next to you. Proverb.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.